Thank you for joining us on the New Bridge Radio Show. You can also catch us online at newbridgeradio.com. Find us on Facebook under New Bridge Radio Show or follow us on Twitter at New Bridge Radio. Now let's connect you with what's next.
Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTKDB Let's Talk. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and we are connecting you to what's next in your life. And we're here to remind you that you are important to this world, and we sure are glad to have you along on this episode of the New Bridge Radio Show. Remember, you can catch the show live on our station website. All you need to do is just head on over to www.wltkdb.com and you can view the show live and you can participate in the chat and ask questions of our guest. Also, you can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. All you got to do is search on WLTKDB in the search bar, and that will take you to the platform sites or pages. Now, remember, if you want to get in touch with the New Bridge Radio Show, all you have to do is email us. Our email address is thenewbridgeradioshow@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. We love to know what you like about the show. We also love knowing what you don't like about the show sometimes. We also would like to know if you would like to be our guest. We love hearing from people who have connected with what was next in their life. And feel free to email us, tell us your story, and we may invite you on the New Bridge Radio Show. Tonight on the New Bridge Radio Show, we are very excited to introduce you to our very important guest. She is an acupuncture physician and a naturopathic doctor and has been in the field for over 25 years. She is the author of the book Finding Your Lost Child, Understanding Allergies, Nutrition, and Detox in Autism Spectrum Disorders. She is the creator of the Allergy Kit, which you are going to be excited about, which is a simple DIY process done without pain, without needles, and that can be used by the entire family. She has worked with allergies since 1998 and has made some remarkable discoveries that regarding allergies that can hinder the mind as well as the body. Our guest is Dr. Ynge Ljung, and we are thrilled to have her as our guest on the New Bridge Radio Show. Hey, welcome, Dr. Ljung. How are you doing tonight?
Very, very good. Thank you.
Well,
welcoming.
Well, I am super pleased to have you because you come at a perfect time. I think when I first got introduced to you, I told you that I love having naturopathic doctors on the show because there are so few of you. And as I've looked at my own insurance, I've noticed with great delight that more and more naturopathic doctors are being welcomed into, regular healthcare, which I'm very excited about. And just for people who don't know, just give us kind of a quick explanation of naturopathic medicine.
Well, I'm in Florida. Naturopaths are not licensed. So here I'm a licensed acupuncture physician, but I studied the naturopathic because it's very close to acupuncture because it's natural. You look at the body in a totally different way. And it's, of course, acupuncture is the meridians, but it's naturopathic and acupuncture, it's a whole body system. It's not that you have a pain in your knee and you fix the knee. Where did it come from? It could come from something in the gallbladder, that one of the symptoms can be that you have pain in the right knee, for example.
Hmm.
And also when it comes to problems, digestive problems and mental problems,
Hmm.
intimately related through the vagus nerve. So that's how we look at a body. I look at somebody, for example, sometimes they say, okay, I have a pain in my neck here. Okay, what did you eat?
Which is interesting because most people don't make the connection that it could be something like that. Which is why I'm glad to have you on because I, as a Reiki person, I don't believe there are any limitations to healing, and I sometimes discover that sometimes symptoms are much more uh, involved in what's going on mentally, and definitely what's going on in what somebody's eating or exposing themselves to.
Yes, absolutely. I can. One dramatic story that I had with a acupuncture uh, patient that used to come in once or twice a year for his neck,
Hmm.
and one day he almost crawled in with the help of a co-worker who
Hmm.
had to drive him. He had an acute sciatic attack.
Oh
I
wow.
and I did 4 different acupuncture treatments on him, and nothing helped. Nothing. And it occurred to me to ask him if he drank coffee. He said, "It's funny that you say that." I'm in South Florida, so he said it was cold. It was probably 66 degrees.
Hmm.
And his boss gave him a double Cuban coffee. And a couple of hours later, he pulled down an empty box from a shelf, and came here, and then he couldn't move. So I treated him for an allergy to coffee, and within 5 minutes, it was gone.
Oh wow. Was he just astounded?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I would be too, because you don't really hear that very often. An allergy to coffee.
No, some people, I think they don't feel good after coffee,
Hmm.
but they don't put together that they can have back pain or sciatic pain
Hmm.
or neck pain for that matter, because it's all along the gallbladder meridian.
Right. So, as an acupuncturist, do you get people who come in that are terrified of the needles?
Yes.
I would think so. Do you have a way of calming people that are?
Well, I often start with tuning forks instead of needles,
Oh, oh, interesting.
and that works great, and they feel great. It's just it takes much longer time, and
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
it's a little tiresome on my hands.
I can imagine.
But
So,
it's lovely.
yeah, we had someone just a few weeks ago that has learned sound tuning using tuning forks, which I found amazing that they could actually move energy around and actually help cure chronic conditions in some cases.
Yeah.
So, the tuning forks, does this do you find that it makes people more relaxed so that you can put the
Oh,
needle in?
yeah. I
Interesting.
I was at a little party yesterday. A very good friend of mine who moved to Canada, but he has come down for a couple of weeks, and he was not feeling good, and he was
Hmm.
definitely getting a cold. He thought it was just something he was allergic to, but so I didn't know, and the hostess had tuning. She's a friend of mine, and she had tuning forks.
Hmm.
So I treated him with tuning forks, and he was like, all of a sudden, he was sitting up and sleeping. He got so relaxed.
Nice. So, out of curiosity, are there acupuncture points that you can put the needles in that make people feel less pain?
Well, there are pain points. I
Hmm.
mean, there are points for pain,
Hmm.
um, but the needles per se don't really hurt.
Hmm.
It hurts if you have them in the right place and they move,
Hmm.
but it's a little prick, and once you just go through the skin, it's not really painful.
Nothing at all, right? So I've never had acupuncture treatment for anything. I've had acupressure, which I think is completely different. But
Completely different, yes.
yeah, never had acupuncture though. So I know you went to school and studied to be a chemical engineer.
A long, long time ago, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm an old
And
bird.
and when I started reading your book, I'm like, oh, thank God she didn't become a chemical engineer.
Well, I did. I did.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm very glad that medicine kind of took over and took you on a completely different path than that. So, uh, uh, when you started studying medicine, naturopathic medicine, had you already moved to the United States, or was this in a different country?
And I used to live in Venezuela, and
Mhm.
there I was a potter. I
That's interesting.
I made a living on being a potter. It was hard work, but I loved it. And then I came here in '90, and with the artist of the mural behind me, we were going to. Um, when I came here, we were going to make murals in. He had a job to do a mural in Miami,
Mhm.
and we just before Andrews, the big hurricane that passed through. But what happened like a week before, I tripped and broke my wrist in 5 places. So I had a lot of screws hanging out. So there was no painting for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when I was a potter, I always went to an acupuncturist because it's hard work and my shoulders were all tight. And just because you have to try acupuncture, you feel so good afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it lasts longer than a massage. A massage is great, but acupuncture treatments last longer. So, so when I came here, I started to study acupuncture,
Mhm.
and I, in the beginning, it was hard. I was 53 years old when I started school,
Oh, wow. Wow, interesting. That's
and
how old I am now.
exactly. So, and this was almost 30 years ago. So I'm up there. And and in the beginning, it was a little hard. It was not as when I studied 30 years earlier.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, I got it. So because first I said, "Oh, I don't think I will do that. I don't think I can finish this."
Mhm.
But all of a sudden, it just kind of clicked, and I loved it, and I still love it.
So just out of curiosity, what was the most striking thing that surprised you about acupuncture?
It is that you look at the organs
Mhm.
and the organ systems, and for example, like with sciatica and the coffee.
Mhm.
So coffee is an irritates the gallbladder, and the gallbladder meridian goes over the sciatic nerve.
Mhm.
So so you look at things totally different. It's not like we look at, for example, digestive problems.
Mhm.
Why did this person have a head injury, which is very common? Well,
Mhm.
with the vagus nerve having a direct connection with the gut,
Mhm.
it is to expect that you have a reaction on the digestive system.
Mhm.
So, and I think that's what fascinated me from the beginning too. That it's not that okay, you are depressed, you go and get the pill.
Right, right. Which does happen in allopathy, and the last time I went to a physician, that's exactly what happened to me. I was having really weird, dizziness. I was having just strange dizziness, and I went and I said, I'm not sure. And I was young. I was a young person. I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on. And they were like, you know what? It's just stress. You just need a muscle relaxer. And I I got this prescription for a muscle relaxer, and it made me feel so terrible. I'm like, I can't take this anymore. I was even sicker than when
Yeah.
before I went, so I couldn't do it. But what I'm curious about is in acupuncture and meridians. Um, uh, as far as keeping energy flowing through meridians, is there practical things that people can do to keep those meridians open and working properly? Bes-
Well, apart from what they eat,
Mhm. Right.
and not only that, what they drink and how much they drink, because
Mhm.
that has a big influence on the body if you're hydrated or dehydrated.
That makes perfect sense.
And then we have, for example, the large intestine point, which is on between on the web between the index finger and the thumb,
Hmm.
which is a digestive point. If you press that, it's probably sore, and that can affect your digestive system. But it can also, if you have headaches or anything in the head, if you massage that, that can help for that too.
Interesting.
So that helps to move.
Hmm.
And of course, then we have the point, the corresponding point on the foot between the
Hmm.
first big toe and the next toe. It's also on the web. If you press that, that's a liver point. And that can, by massaging that, you can help the liver too, because the liver is the general of free flowing in the body of blood and fluids.
Well,
And
that's interesting. Is there a point that people can press to make them relax?
well, the top of the head is a good point.
And it doesn't look strange at all.
Well, but also this point here can also relax you a little bit. These 4 points between, I mean, the 4 points, 2 points on the hands and two on the feet.
Uh-huh.
They're called the four gates, and they balance the upper and the lower, and the inner and the outer. So that is relaxing. So there are
Interesting.
things that you can.
That's interesting. And when you do acupuncture, do you do uh, uh, are there points that like that instantly relieve stress in people's muscles and stuff?
Sometimes they do. It's as I said, the points on the head. They are, for example, when my daughter was in her 20s, and I wanted to. She had menstrual cramps.
Hmm. Hmm.
And first I asked her if it was, how is your periods? Oh, they're normal. I said, no pain? Oh, yes. But that's normal. No, it's not normal. Everybody
Hmm.
has it. She said, no, yes, but it's not normal.
Hmm.
And she has always been very, very, very afraid of needles. She still is. But
Hmm.
so I said, okay, let me put a couple of needles in your head. And if you don't like that, okay, then I won't do it on you.
Hmm.
So I put the 5 needles in her head, on the top of the head,
Hmm.
and after 5 minutes she says, "Okay, go ahead and do what you want to do." Because then she was, "I don't care."
Right.
So, yes. So often I do that first on my patients so that they relax and are not afraid. Because when you're relaxed, it's hard to be afraid.
Exactly, exactly. So, do people use acupuncture for uh, pain modification and pain management?
Yes.
Interesting. Even do they even do you know if they do it even for surgery?
I mean, in China, they operate with acupuncture as anesthesia.
Hmm. Oh, I
And
didn't know this.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course, I don't do that, but I don't operate either.
Right. But it's interesting to know that I think acupuncture, if I'm not mistaken, has been around for thousands of years.
Yes, a long, long time.
And it always intrigues me that they figured out the needle points that affect the body in i- in positive and negative ways thousands of years ago.
Well, you talk about woo-woo things
Yes.
were probably downloaded from somewhere else.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, well, we are a woo-woo station sometimes. well, we're gonna have to step away for a brief break and hear from our sponsors, but we will be right back on the New Bridge Radio Show.
Looking to launch your new masterpiece? Then try something new with Moonbow Publishing and Production. At Moonbow, we have a strong desire to serve authors in a powerful and meaningful way. After all, you poured your heart and soul into your writing, and we fully understand and respect that. Remember this: you will own the copyright to your work. You will have the final say on your work before being published. Even after all of that, we've saved the best for last. We won't take a percentage sold. Nope, not a penny. Excited about MoonbowPublications.com yet? We thought so. Take advantage of our company's services like book editing, formatting, and covers, publishing, and photography. Moonbow Publishing and Productions has everything you are looking for in a company. Remember, we will not keep any commissions. We are a boutique publishing company focusing on spiritual, health and wellness, and personal growth genres. Moonbow Publications and Productions, a new kind of publishing company.
Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTKDB Let's Talk. I am your host, Kevin Mackey, and we are having a fascinating conversation with our guest, Dr. Ynge. And we've been talking about acupuncture, but I also want to talk to you about your allergy kit, because I read your book, and I told you a little bit about my own allergy tests that I used to have to go through as a child that used to upset me so much. My pediatrician when I was little was Dr. Jorgensen. And I had such an acute fear of Dr. Jorgensen because she used to do those allergy tests with the needles on my back. And she always used to, there'd be tons of kids in her lobby, and she always used to use those little egg timers that ding. And I always used to try to change the egg timer so that I wouldn't have to go and see Dr. Jorgensen. But anyway, I wanted to ask you about the allergy kit, because you have found a way to treat allergies that I've never even heard of. Tell us a little bit about the kit and how it works.
Okay. There is another technique that's similar,
Mhm,
and it's called Nambu-Drupad's allergy elimination technique, NAET.
mhm,
And I was a practitioner of hers, started in 98.
mhm,
And it was a great technique, but it took too much time.
mhm.
And people often either couldn't afford it, or it took too much time, or they had several kids. And in a family, if somebody has allergies, the most often the others also do.
Right.
And so I started to research and took tons of other classes to figure out things to put together uh, for so people could take responsibility for their own health and not be dependent. I'm not saying that they shouldn't go to NATE, but at least they can do all the basic stuff themselves, and then they can check what they is specifically they need to do more.
Mhm,
And the technique is, I have vials,
Mm-hmm.
and they are homeopathically infused or impregnated. No, that's not the right way. Imprinted.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the first treatment, because it's a logic to the madness. There are 7 vials in the basic kit. So I have several kits, but every kit has the first 7 vials. That first kit is called the allergy kit.
Right.
Then I have a food allergy kit and environmental and so forth. So the first vial contains egg and chicken, milk, dairy, calcium, vitamin C, and parasites. So I have sometimes vegans say, I don't eat chicken, I don't eat eggs. Well, we came from an egg. So it is the basic protein, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
When we are born, we get milk. And when we start to eat, we get vitamin C. And we are all warm-blooded animals, human animals, but we all have parasites.
Right.
So by having the energy, the frequency is the same frequency that we have when we have these, allergies. I use the word allergy loosely. It covers intolerances and sensitivities. So when you use the vial and you put it over the belly button and you use a laser, I think there is. And you shine it through the vial that you hold over the belly button. You also use a Q-tip that you lightly lick on to get the vial. Plus you use a stress vial because when we have anything, even if it's allergies, every cell is under stress. And I found out that working with a stress vial made the treatments stick faster, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So you use these 2 vials, put them in the belly button, and shine through them. I don't know if you can see. It doesn't show quite as beautiful as it is in reality.
Yep, I see it.
So why the Q-tip and the saliva? Mm-hmm. Because in the saliva, it's like a laboratory of the whole body.
Oh.
And the belly button is the center of the body. It's also the center of the digestive system. So it's like a snapshot, and the body knows what to do with them. Mm-hmm. And after that, you use the laser over your head, back and forth 7 times. Uh-huh. You also shine over the ears, because the ears have all the organs. All the organs are on the ear. If you look at the ear, it's like an upside fetus or baby. Uh-huh. So you can imagine everything. So the head is here and the butt is up here. So you can figure out all the points that are on the body. I use the ear points a lot, by the way, in when I work on here.
Oh, that's interesting. So your ear is a mirror of your body then. Your ear has, that's interesting. Now, this is fascinating. So if you're having like pain in your stomach, is there?
Yes, that point is in the center of the ear.
Oh, I did not know this.
And that is also a pain point.
Oh my gosh. So if somebody like me, who's a Reiki practitioner and doing energy work, sometimes when I'm doing energy work, I'll be intuitively just pause at ears.
Yes.
And maybe that's the whole reason. I didn't even know that until now.
Yeah. So now you know. So reason, and now you can maybe use it even consciously.
Exactly. So now the laser, is this
it's a cold red laser. Specifically, the frequency in this laser is specifically for the vibration of the body.
I see.
So it's not just a laser pointer.
Right. Don't go out and buy laser pointers, people. I heard, Doctor.
Yeah, maybe it works. I don't know. At least it doesn't work as well. Okay. So you do the head, the ears, and then you go back to the belly button, and then you go back to the head and the ears and the belly button again. That is the whole treatment. It takes like 5 minutes. And after that, you use the points that I said, the 4 gates on the hand, the foot, the other foot, the other hand, and you end up on the first hand you did because you want to close the circuit. And that's the treatment. And you wait. And when people do it at home, I recommend they do it at night because it's relaxing and people sleep good after it. And then they stay away from food normally during the night. And then the next day they can have whatever they were treated for. Even though if they're very, for example, reacts a lot to eggs, then I ask them to take it easy. Just, of course, if they could learn muscle testing, that would be even better.
Interesting.
I really wish people would. And there are some techniques that are easy to learn. So what I wanted to say also about the kit is that, for example, number 2 is sugar. And sugar is an epidemic. And because it's in everything. I mean, the American diet is really the root to all the illnesses in this country.
I believe that, yes.
I came here 30 years ago, so that was in 90. And since then, I have seen, for example, they started with the fat-free, and instead they added sugar. And I have only seen all these people getting fatter and fatter. And it's not really their fault.
Right, absolutely.
So everything has sugar, and here in the United States, they have more sugar in food than in other places because they are so used to sugar that they need to have it more sugar. So the sugar, it first of all makes them fat. Second, it destroys the hormone balance. For example, the blood sugar is, I think there is like 70% that are either diabetic or pre-diabetic, but they don't even know it.
Right.
Because another thing is that they go to the doctor and it might be a little high. For me, it's too high as functional practitioner. But allopathy medicine, it can be normal up to 100. It's not. It's between 70 and 89, really should be the ideal.
Well,
so then, and then they go to, for example, when you are diabetic, you're 120, then you're diabetic. What is it when you're 119?
Right.
And what happens when you eat? That's what nobody checks. That's when the blood sugar goes all.
Well, you know what they do? They kind of tried to, or at least here, I don't know about the rest of the world, but here in the United States, they kind of, said, oh, they acknowledge sugar is bad, and they've given us all of these sugar substitutes. We have. Are these harmful too?
Yes, like aspartame. Sweet and low and all these things, they are really bad for the brain. And there are people who can get epileptic attacks or spasms or something from that. Not everybody, of course, but it's definitely not good. No.
Well, right. I have friends that drink Diet Coke by the gallon because they feel they believe that it's better for them than an actual sugar drink.
This sugar, so-called sugar, the artificial sweetener, what they create is hunger, because if you have sugar, you get that little energy thing. But you don't get it with the artificial sweeteners. So the body stores it as hunger instead. So they get hungry and they eat more, they need more, they need another Coke.
That makes perfect sense to me. Because, these the friends that I have that drink Diet Coke or even Diet Pepsi are big snackers.
Yes, and
Uh,
that's why.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. So the sugar, when you do the sugar, vial, the sugar treatment, um, does it kind of make that normal?
Well, what happens is often they have to do it more than once because I mean, if it's somebody who drinks Diet Coke or eats a lot of sweets, they are so used to it that it is an addiction,
Mhm.
and they need to do the treatment more than once, sometimes several times. But once it sticks, so to speak, they know it does when they don't crave sweets. All of a sudden, they can have. I had one patient, for example, she said, "Oh, I can't believe this. I never could open a box of chocolate without finishing the whole box. Now I take one piece and I'm content."
Mhm.
So that's what happens, which is a big help when you want to lose weight, for example.
Right.
If you can, because I know so many people, I say, I cannot let go of sugar.
Mhm. There are certain snacks that I have too that I'm sure are terrible. I'm a big fan of the candy bar at Baby Ruth.
Oh,
So, that was the best invention made by a human.
yeah.
So, so just out of curiosity, so if somebody had a acute allergy to sugar, would that manifest in like headaches and
Oh, yeah.
symptoms?
Yes, that's very common. Headaches, I think, is probably headaches and migraines is probably the most common side effect of eating sugars or sweets.
Yes, and does it also do behavior modification? Like, does it affect
Absolutely.
people's behavior?
Yeah.
Interesting. So after the sugar vial, what comes after that?
After that comes toxins because,
Toxins.
yeah, uh, babies are born with some people say 200, others say up to 500 different chemicals and toxins in their umbilical cord. That's pretty
Hmm.
scary. That's
Hmm.
where they're born. I mean, what have we breathe. If we don't do anything else, we breathe. And I mean, it's toxic.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the third treatment is for toxins, and I mean, I'm not saying that it exactly detoxes you, but in a way it does.
Hmm.
And I cannot really explain how, but people feel better after it.
Hmm. So,
And then, yeah, go ahead.
uh, well, we have kind of, speaking of toxins in the environment, we have kind of come to the conclusion that there's something wrong. So there's something wrong with the carpet in our house
Uh huh.
because it can certainly have a lot of strong chemicals, smells to it at times. Even though of course, we vacuum it a lot of the time, but it's it feels like it builds up from this, and I feel like there are definitely a lot of chemicals in that, as well. But are there chemicals and pollutants coming from other things like clothes or
Yes,
perfumes?
yes, and I mean, if you take carpets, they have a lot of chemicals in them. So yeah, I have a vibe for that.
Yes. Yeah,
So
I think that's probably a bit. I think that there are a lot of things that we think, in our everyday lives, that we probably think, oh, that would never cause an allergic reaction, right?
yeah,
And I think there are a lot of doctors that kind of miss the environment when it comes to allergies. Do you find that's true?
I think so too.
Hmm.
Because we
Hmm.
can be allergic to absolutely everything and anything. We can be allergic to ourselves too.
Allergic to ourselves?
Yes, sounds funny. And some people, for example, couples where the woman can be allergic to the husband's sperm.
Hmm.
So it sounds weird, but and you can be allergic to your kids or the kids that fight a lot,
Mhm.
and that can be remedied. I have had several patients that clearing them from the other person changed.
So, do you have a do you have a vial for that?
I have a vial for people, but also if it's something specific, I make a vial
Mhm.
for. I had one patient who she had a son
Mhm.
who was very allergic, but when he sat in his father's lap, he would just be red, 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 red.
Mhm.
And he loved his father, but he couldn't sit there in his
Mhm.
lap. So I treated him. So I made a vial from the father. So I got saliva and a picture of her and him, and I made a vial from that, the energy of him, and treated the boy, and it totally went away.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then so how long did it take?
But
Was
no,
it
yeah, a few minutes, and of course I didn't want him to sit immediately after, but wait till the next day. But it went away.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
When
So
people fight, it really can be some kind of allergy.
right. Now, one thing you talked about in the book is how different allergies affect, especially in kids, and kids on the spectrum in particular,
Yeah,
all of a sudden will start behaving i- in, you know, unnatural ways, and what they're really experiencing is an allergic reaction, really.
exactly. Yes, and and I think often because the parents don't know and nobody maybe tells them that wheat is one of the worst things they can have, and maybe they don't eat wheat that week, and then it's Friday or Saturday. I say, okay, let's go out and party. Let's go to the pizza place, and the kid has a meltdown,
Hmm.
and they have to carry him out kicking and screaming, and people look at them and say, what kind of parents are they? Not
Right.
their fault.
Those parents are terrible.
Yeah, and they have, I think they spend tons of money on behavior therapy.
Right. You know what, speaking of wheat, you said something interesting in the book, that I found profoundly interesting. You said, I can eat every kind of bread they have in Israel, and I can eat most of the bread in Europe. They import some wheat from America, so I know I am gluten intolerant. I'm American wheat intolerant, and I don't think I am the only one. That I found that interesting. So, when you leave the United States and go to Europe or Israel, you can eat bread, and there's no issue.
Yeah, even though I am careful because for me the effect it has to me is that I can't walk. It affects my hips. I get pain on my hips.
Oh, interesting.
So that's how it works on me. And so
Mhm.
it's, other people they get diarrhea, but I get pain in my hips. So so it's very very different how people react to it.
Yeah, you and I know there are definitely differences in other countries than here. So I know I had a friend that went over to London for a period of time, and she had for lunch she had a salad, and she called the waiter over, and she's like, "Can you tell me what this is in my salad?" And the waiter's like, "Yes, ma'am, that is a tomato." And she's like, "What?" She's like, "This is this what a tomato really tastes like?"
Wow.
So
That's fun.
so she came back and is telling us, the food in Europe tastes completely different. Did you
Yes.
find that as well? Because I'm understanding that our food, a lot of it is sprayed with herbicides and pesticides.
It's so sprayed. And I, as much as I can, I eat organic. I mean, I only buy organic food, and especially, and I, that definitely has to do with the intolerance of wheat too, even though wheat has other things that's not good for you.
Mhm.
But by spraying it and being so toxic, I think that's one of what they call gluten intolerances. It's not the gluten, it's often the toxins. But then, of course, also the gluten, of course, the wheat is sprayed a couple of days before it's harvested so they can get rid of the leaves. And then the toxins go straight up to the kernels.
Mhm. Mhm.
And apart from that, it also has a protein, gliadin. It has many proteins, but one of them is makes holes in the intestinal lining, and that's also how partially or digested food goes out in the bloodstream, and that's how so many allergies are produced or created.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So in the book, you mentioned a few foods that uh, um, that kind of surprised me. The veggies and berries to avoid due to high toxicity. That like the number one on the list is strawberries,
Yeah,
which that kind of surprised me. What's been going on with strawberries?
because they spray them.
Hmm.
And you know, when they grow the tomatoes, they have just under the over the plant, but under the where it grows, it's a
Hmm.
black plastic
Uh-huh.
to make it hotter and make them grow faster or mature faster. I think ripen faster. But the spray often you can see it in pools, and the
Hmm.
berries are laying in it,
Hmm.
so they
Oh, interesting.
absorb all this glyphosate.
Yeah, exactly. So, that kind of, I was like, well, I was just eating strawberries the other day.
Eat them organic.
Yeah. Well, I definitely am now. So you also mentioned spinach, which I've been eating, and nectarines, which I can't stand nectarines, but these also the same sort of thing, though, sprayed
Yeah.
with chemicals.
They're very, very sprayed. Apples are sprayed. It's sad, but
Mm.
if you don't eat organic apples, you get a lot of toxins in you.
Exactly. So, one thing I wanted to ask uh, about the eating organically. Um, you say in the book that the gut is like the second brain, is like another brain in the body.
Yes.
And one thing that you mentioned that helps people not just with allergies but with overall health is eating clean and clean food. And I am glad we're talking about organic foods because sometimes there are labels that are kind of not really the truth. And there's a little part about labels you mentioned in the book. Can you talk a little bit about learning to read labels properly?
Well, you mean when you buy, for example, boxes and yes, when you buy something that's in a box, it should
Mhm.
not never have more than 4 ingredients, preferably less. So you have to check first of all if they're organic. Second, if they are have sugar, how much sugar they have, because they all have sugar. So you have to think about that. And then what the main ingredient is. I have a long distance client, a young girl, and her mother said she was giving a formula to her brother who is sensitive to everything. But of
Mhm.
course, he hasn't done the kid. She has, but not him. And the first ingredient is corn syrup.
Oh, wow.
50% in that formula was corn syrup. So how that can be good for somebody to eat, I don't know. And then
Right.
it was all chemicals and just man-made stuff. It was very strange. So you have to look at if the first if the first ingredient is sugar, don't.
Don't get it.
And also if it is wheat and wheat, it doesn't really matter if it's organic. Of course, it matters if it's organic or not, but it's still not good for you because it still has that protein that makes holes in your intestines.
Mhm.
And so that's what they call gluten free. Yeah, milk is gluten free and orange juice is gluten free. But I mean, they have all of a sudden everything is gluten free. But so sugar and what it has, and then a couple of more things. Otherwise, you shouldn't really buy it because it is too many chemicals in it, and
Exactly.
too processed. We have to stay away from processed food
Hmm. Hmm.
and fast food, unfortunately.
I,
I don't
right.
like it. I never liked fast food, so it's not hard for me. But I know many people, it's an addiction too.
You better believe it is. My grocery store is right by McDonald's. And there are always people sitting in the Safeway parking lot with a Big Mac in one hand
And the Coca-Cola in the
and
other.
a Diet Coke in the other. Right, exactly. Because I think, McDonald's food is very addictive. And that McDonald's there is busy 24/7. Like there are people there all around the clock and it's always packed. So our hours going by really fast. I wanted to ask real quick about the other allergy kits that
Okay.
you have as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just going to say after toxins, then we have the vaccines.
Hmm.
So and you can almost always see it, especially in the kids on the spectrum because they have other things going on. But they see a change after the vaccines. And the next one is sugar again, and then we have grains in the sixth vial, and the seventh is a mixture of all of them. So now you can ask about the other one. I just wanted to tell what is in the first.
Oh, I'm glad you did. As a side note, I'll tell you this. So when for my allergy treatments, I had to go every week and have an allergy shot. There were for a while there, I would have to go twice, but I couldn't eat normal food. I couldn't have eggs. I couldn't have dairy, any kind of wheat or grain or peanut butter, chocolate, the whole thing. So I didn't have any of those things until I was much older in life. But it sure was fun the first time I ever was able to eat an egg.
I believe you.
Yeah, I was like, you'd watch people, I watched my sisters and parents, dip their toast in eggs, and I would have this little, you know, bowl of nothing.
Poor baby.
Right. And so eating,
I had a patient. It's a while ago now, but he was in his 70s, and he had been going to um, allergist for 35 years.
oh my gosh.
And every time he got a cold, he ended up with a pneumonia.
Mhm.
I was treating him for back pain, and he did not want me to treat him for allergies. So, like the second time, and he had been in the hospital, so I said, "Please let me treat you for
Mhm.
allergies." I did, and after that, he never had to go to the hospital for pneumonia again.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What about his allergies? Was he fine after that?
So he was much better, yes,
Oh, perfect. Nice.
because that way his immune system got stronger.
Mhm.
But with the shots, it apparently never really helped him. It probably helped for some things, but not for the immune system itself.
Exactly. So, while in our few minutes here, Dr. Inge, it has been so much fun having you on the show. Um, Tell us where people can find you and where they can find your allergy kit.
Okay, that's very easy. It's theallergykit.com
Hmm.
is the website. There is also a link if they want to make an appointment with me and have a free consultation if they want to ask questions.
Hmm.
And my email is info@theallergykit.com.
Perfect. And don't you also have a YouTube channel as well?
Yes. But they can go there. They can go to YouTube on the website. I never remember which one because I have several, and some of them don't have anything. What words? But they can go on the if they go to the YouTube channel from the website, they can see that they get to the right site.
The right video. Yeah, I found you're the only Dr. Inge as well. So, if people search for your name on YouTube, they'll find the video that you have about the allergy kit and how you explain it. I think it's absolutely I think it's an amazing invention. I am imagining that little kids that were like me must be thrilled to be to come to you and see and experience your allergy kit.
I had one kid once. I did the allergies on him, and I muscle test him.
Mhm.
That's how I see it. And maybe we can get together another time and I show muscle testing. So anyway, I muscle tested him, and 7, 8 years old. Oh, he was fighting. He was, of course, not. I was not going to break him down. But when I treated him, and he got so strong, so he
Mhm.
said, "I want to go to the doctor who makes me strong."
That's funny. Not the needle doctor.
No, on kids I do mostly tuning forks.
Mhm, mhm. Well, it's been a treat having you on the show. Um, that is going to do it for the New Bridge Radio Show. Actually, this is going to be our live show for the rest of our last live show for the rest of 2021. And I can't believe that we're going to be going into 2022 in just a few weeks. And I'm kind of excited to be done with 2021, to be honest. I do hope you all will join us in the new year for our new season as we connect you to what's next in your life on the New Bridge Radio Show. Now, stay tuned to Haunted Voices with Todd Bates.